This week on the travel show.
Just entering and seeing how it looks, but
it looks new. Have you renovated it a bit?
Yes, we've renovated it.
Okay. We explore Uganda's first and only railway museum in the heart of Jinja district.
But we also hope that with this railway museum, a number of people will be able to appreciate the essence of safeguarding and protecting our heritage in Uganda.
Catch the history of the Uganda Railway.
But until then, it was manual, and this is it. It would move, maybe it would be pushed from Jinja here up to Tororo. And you can only imagine the people who used to push.
Recollections from former railway staff.
So this is a demo to show someone who was operating within the office room, within the ticket office room. So they used to put on kachi. That's why we came up with this mannequin to demonstrate that.
And railway artifacts.
The map which shows the saturation, how the rail line was constructed from Mombasa to Pakwach, where you see green, that's railway transport, where you see blue, this is water transport, and red, that's the road transport. So this is the bus which used to take people from Butiawa on Lake Albert to Masindi Port.
And then there comes the Hindu temple, which signifies the occupation of the Indians in Mbale district.
The Hindu temple, and we are told that it was built out of a fundraising. The Indians made a fundraising, and we are yet to find the exact figure, but they say it was about 600,000 Ugandan shillings that was raised, and we were able to put up that temple.
Officially opened in 1961, the Hindu temple in Mbale district is another edifice that represents heritage tourism in the aspect of faith-based tourism. It is an important venture that represents the Indian community here in the heart of eastern Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Situated on the Palisa Road,
as the number of Indians grew, because the Indians started off small. They were in the main city up. If you go to what they call the area which has North Road Primary School, that was the main stop of the Indians. But as the numbers grew, there was a whole fundraising, and we are yet to find the exact figure, but they say it was about 600,000 Ugandan shillings that was raised, and we were able to put up that temple.
The presence of these old buildings helps us connect with the past, even though they face untold challenges like new developments and effects of climate change, like the ongoing floods. Religious, all faith-based tourism is such an aspect of tourism whereby we learn different religions. Now, in the Hindu temple here in Mbale district, we have a chance to look at the idols that Indians use while worshipping their gods. Well, it is very important to know that there's a lot of respect that you get to learn from this whole aspect. The preservation of this whole aspect, this construction, that connects with the preservation of the environment. Here you look at the tree, which is very healthy, growing without disturbing the construction that is here, the site that is present here at the Hindu temple is what we call nothing but respect and coexistence of culture preservation and the conservation of the environment here in Mbale. My name is Mbale Bismarck Moses here on the Travel Show. We'll be back right after the break. Cultural interests are stored and exhibited. Episode of the Travel Show. My name's Mbale Bismarck Moses, and of course the travel maniac, the one that takes you around the different demographic spectrums in this beautiful Uganda, a country that I call home. Now, 2022 is such a remarkable year. It will forever be remembered because it's the year when the first ever Railway Museum was put in place. This is the Railway Museum, of course, sitting on a building that was constructed in 1928. Heritage tourism at its best. We are in the middle of the highway of Iganga and Jinja, taking you on this spectacular episode of the Railway Museum. There's a lot that I'm willing to learn, and I believe you're going to learn with me. You're welcome on this episode. Uganda Railway Museum is a national railway museum located along the Jinja-Iganga Highway at the railway station in Jinja City. Constructed in 1928, Jinja Railway Station is one of the oldest historical buildings. The Railway Museum contains artifacts from the days before the railway in Uganda, the life during the early days of railway development, the era of colonial expansion, and the railways after independence.
When we talk about tourism in Uganda, a lot of people have for so long been appreciating only the wildlife tourism and also the geographical sites tourism. Little have had people appreciated the evolution of tourism to actually include cultural heritage tourism. And yet it's something that has been earning a lot for other countries. And I'm glad that Uganda Wildlife Authority, together with Uganda Tourism Board, did come up with a trail for the Batwa people. It was the first of its kind for them to adventure into cultural and heritage tourism.
Going around this museum is an adventure. Okay, so is it right for me to think that this is the first ever Railway Museum?
Yes,
in Uganda.
It is the first ever. It is the second in East Africa and the fourth in Africa.
Second in East Africa, fourth
in Africa.
Yes, I hope you heard that. The first one in Uganda, second in East Africa, fourth in Africa. I'm talking about the Railway Museum. Part of the museum is designed with young people in mind to support their learning and appreciation of Uganda's history.
So far, the biggest group of students that we've hosted is primary and secondary, because in their learning, when you look at what we highlight here, and because of that reason, schools usually bring their children compared to primary and secondary.
The Uganda Railway Museum is open to the general public from Tuesday to Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So
Does it work, or it's just for purposes of...
It's just for purposes of experience. So this is how it looks on the inside. The driver can sit either side.
Okay.
Yes, and drive from to the other side as well.
Okay.
Whatever is the other side is also here.
Before you can travel there, the Travel Show is here to give you an in-depth insight. But before we can continue, let's come back after the short commercial. This is the Railway Museum in Jinja District. Uganda's railways played a fundamental role in the economic, colonial and post-colonial development of the country in terms of bringing communities together, allowing access to education and other facilities, and cementing national consciousness.
Some of the attitude of people towards culture. The moment you talk about culture, what comes into people's mind is more about witchcraft, it's about witch doctors, it's about wizardry, and not knowing that culture really is very broad. It's something that covers, it's our identity, it's who we are. So the levels of people appreciating cultural heritage and actually budgeting and putting funds towards the safeguarding and promotion of our cultural heritage is still very low.
For many years, however, Uganda's railways have been unused, with historical artifacts such as equipment, engines and buildings such as stations and workers' cottages falling into disrepair.
So this was a supervision trolley. So whenever supervisors moved on the lines to check the functionality of the line and make repairs, they would use this trolley. So the supervisors would, and it worked until about 1909 when the other carriage was introduced. But until then, it was manual, and this is it. It would move, maybe it would be pushed from Jinja here up to Tororo. And you can only imagine the people who used to push, the effort and the energy that they had.
How many?
To put in.
Each had 2 people?
Each had like 2 to 3 people. As you can see, this is for 3 supervisors.
Yes.
And then the guys pushing behind would be 3 or 4 sometimes. So.
And at some point they wouldn't rest. Because I believe you can't do this in a day.
They would, when the supervisors want to stop, to have a look at the line, maybe see where repairs should be done. But otherwise, they had to push. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Quite painful.
It is.
Our great parents went through this.
They did.
And I think it's the hardship that they went through to get us here.
Yes, and that is why we should appreciate this history. It informs us of where we come from, and then we can reflect on where we want to be based on such events.
Without a doubt. The introduction of the railways in Uganda followed the August 1895 bill in the British Parliament authorizing the construction of the railway from Mombasa to the shores of Lake Victoria. This marked the beginning of the Uganda Railway, which eventually expanded all the way to Pakwach in the north and Kasese in the west. The Railway Museum is a beautiful place that has been added on the tourism activities with recollections from former railway staff. This is wood?
Yes, this is wood, and then this is metal.
What kind of wood is this?
The real hardwood, the mahoganies. You know.
This thing is...
It's very heavy.
This is this week's travel quote. A visit to a museum is a search for beauty, truth, and meaning in our lives. Go to museums as often as you can. A quote by Myra Kalman.